So I went to Phoenix Raceway last weekend. We didn't talk about it at all on the show, but we're going to recap my visit and the weekend in NASCAR, and we're going to talk about the end of the Wednesday night dash season on FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook,
I am Eric Richardson.
and I am cracking open a beer.
Much needed after
uh,
the next gen season.
and I don't know what to say about this. Or I've been judged a lot, but I got my Michelob Ultra here. I've never had Michelob before. And I was at a hotel last summer outside of Disneyland, and they had the evening cocktail party with like free beer and wine, and the beer they were giving out was Michelob Ultra, and it was actually in these thin these Red Bull style cans, and I'm like, okay, I guess free beer is free beer, and I'm like, okay, that's not bad. It's not a craft beer by any means, but it's pretty refreshing when it's ice cold. It's pretty refreshing, and I need it after
Yeah,
this.
free beer is good.
And you know what, Michelob Ultra, whoever your owner is,
Is that Anheuser
I think
now?
it's Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, Anheuser-Busch. That's what I thought. Anheuser-Busch, if you want to come in and say, hey, why don't you put a Michelob Ultra logo on your car? I will say, done. We'll talk cash later. Phone line's open.
Mick Ultra. Take it.
So I didn't tell you this. I thought I broke my FX Pro reel already.
Oh, that would have been fun.
I was sitting on the floor in a panic because I'm like, I broke it. The paddle shifter isn't working. So I've got my prop back here again tonight to show you it's fine. Spoiler, it's fine. So on the back of this, or you can kind of see there's some magnets here, but you can't really see it very well on the camera here. But there's another magnet in here, and these two magnets, it's two different magnets actually that are, that give you that quick shift feel. And what happened was I had it sitting on the shelf like this, and it's a metal shelf that was apparently magnetized, and it actually sucked the two magnets off of the upper one and the lower one, and then the because the two magnets were sucked to the shelf, the other magnets just fell off, and I come out here, I'm like, this is
Wait,
broken,
what's going on?
and then I'm looking, I'm like, wait, magnets, those are magnets, and then I look, I'm like, oh, there's two of them stuck to the shelf over there, and there's two on the floor, and I'm like, please, just they're magnets, they should stick, and I'm like, okay. Crisis
Easy
averted.
fix.
Crisis averted. But I was on the floor panicking, right over here for about 20 seconds until I realized, oh, the magnet got stuck to the shelf. So moral of the story is don't store those things on a metal shelf. On that note, nothing really on the IndyCar front. Formula One is
Yeah,
coming back this
IndyCar
week.
is off till what? April 2nd,
April
I believe.
2nd. They're heading to the chaos known as Texas.
We'll
Do you
see.
remember? Do you remember Texas World Speedway in College Station?
Vaguely.
It's a little bit. It's not quite before our time, but it wrapped up when we were pretty young. Um, it was I think it was actually, if I remember correctly, it's a 2 mile, and it was actually modeled identical to Michigan in Texas. And it went out. I don't know what happened to it, but it went out of, and they just started building neighborhoods around it. And but if you go to Google Maps, you can still see the outline of the track, and there's a few buildings still, but apparently they're going to finish demolishing, and I saw that in the news recently.
A lot of tracks getting demolished.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Then you
I
got
mean,
one's coming back.
yes, North Wilkesboro's coming back. You've got other small tracks you're getting this little bit of a short track revival. There's some tracks we'd like to see go away. Um, Texas Speedway. The
Coliseum.
the Coliseum. Well, I don't.
It's not even a track.
It's not. That's a side show, but that's for another day. Oh, I think we spent enough time on that.
I'm gonna keep saying it. Bring back Rockingham.
I feel like that would be the next one to bring back.
It's still there and it's cool. Out front, giant rock.
Needs a little bit of work to get it back up. But I've been watching the progress. They're renovating North Wilkesboro, and they want to keep it. They want to bring it up to date, but they want to give it keep the charm, quote unquote, of what the track was before. So they're not going to make it like this ultra modern, like just rows and rows of suites. But they have one of the track buildings where they're gonna have like a rooftop party area. Looks pretty cool. Looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see what they end up with.
But yeah, it looks nice. A lot of work being done, and it should be ready in time for May. They say they're actually ahead of schedule because the winter weather has been so mild down there, so they've gotten quite a bit done already. So Phoenix Raceway. So I went out on Saturday morning, and so the gates opened at 8 o'clock, and the first on track was at 10:30 for the Xfinity practice. They did like 30 minutes of practice, and then they went right into qualifying. And if you're not paying close attention, you don't realize that it's just like, and ARCA is like even tighter. It's just like, okay, practice qualifying, let's go right and race. Xfinity, it was, we're practicing at 10:30. We're going to take a little bit of time to reset. Then we're going to do like 11:30 with qualification. And then at 12:30, the Cup cars are out practicing, and then they qualify. And then as soon as they were done with qualification, then the Xfinity race starts. So it's just like back to back to back at 10:30. But the question is, why would we show up at the track at 8 a.m. when the first on-track action starts at 10:30?
Yeah, you got a fun story.
I
Pretty
did.
cool.
I did. So, I mean, my kids, they're five. I've twin 5-year-old girls. I mentioned that many times before on here. And I got an email. We bought our pit passes. It's like $10 per kid for the Xfinity day. For the Cup race, it's only $20 a kid, I think. The Cup prices for tickets are kind of crazy at Phoenix now. For the fall race, for the championship race, like the cheapest adult seat is like $117 or something like that.
The November race we went to a few years ago, we got pit passes and a seat for $65.
Yeah, it was maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, it was not much. We're walking on the track before the race. Yeah, for about like $65-$75 or something total for the event. So we get there at 8 o'clock, or I get an email that says, enter your kids for a VIP garage tour. And so, but it says one parent, one kid. So I go to my wife and I said, hey, I'm filling out this form with your email address for one of the kids. I'm filling it out for the other kid. And if we get picked, hopefully we both get picked. If one of us or none get, whatever, we'll skip it. But if we both get picked, we'll get a special behind the scenes tour of the garage. So like 2 days later, I get an email from the track saying, congratulations, you're on the 8:30 tour. 20 minutes later, my wife gets an email that says, congratulations, you're on the 9 a.m. tour. And then all of a sudden, the Phoenix Raceway, I replied, it says reply back to confirm. And I didn't know that her time was different. So I replied back immediately, said, yeah, we'll be there. And I said, my wife will be responding back with our other kid, shortly. So then he makes the connection. We're all, one family unit. And he emails my wife and it's like, would you like to be a part of the 8:30 tour instead? That way you can all go together. And she said, yeah, absolutely. So we get right there. We go running into the track and we check in at about 20 after 8. I get the official all access lanyard, the laminated lanyard. I'm like, this thing is badass. And this lanyard is awesome. But then I had to give it back after we,
oh, that's
back,
too bad.
Yeah, I was like, this is awesome.
That'd been fun memento.
I know. Well, they gave the kids one, which I guess it is a kids VIP tour. The kids got to keep theirs. So we go walking out and, they're in the middle of inspection. So cars are going everywhere. We're getting out of the way. Bob Pockras from Fox Sports comes walking by our tour group as soon as we get out there. He's like, good morning, everyone. That guy, I knew he was like a super hardworking reporter. That guy was there right when the garage is open, had his little notepad, and he was going garage to garage to garage, just looking for, what to report on. And he was like right on top of it. And he passed by our group at least 4 or 5 times in this half an hour tour. Again, super nice guy, but it's just like seeing him in action was awesome. So that was number one. Number two, I have to get out of the way because I almost get run over by Daniel Suarez's car and crew coming back from inspection, and I'm moving everybody out of the way so we don't get hit as they're pushing the car back to the garage. We see all the garages. Most of the cars are there. Some of them are in line for check-in. Walking past the hauler, and we walk past the Loves hauler. The door opens, and out walks Michael McDowell. And all of a sudden, the tour group, eyes on him, and everybody just goes running over there. He has his hero card sitting in a little podium next to the hauler. Everyone's grabbing a hero card and handing it to him. And Michael's older than me, but I feel like I'm at that age now where I feel weird asking people for autographs. He's older than me, us. He's like a year or two older than us. I don't know if you do that or not. But I gave my kids one. I said, "Here, go hand it to him. He'll sign it for you." And they don't fully understand the concept, but I have. What I did was I got a book here and got some plastic sheets, and we dropped the hero cards in the notebook here. But there you go. Michael McDowell signed a hero card. And each of my kids walked away with one. So, and we're talking to him, super nice guy, really friendly, made sure everybody got an autograph. My wife's talking to him and like, she has no idea who this guy is. And I'm just like, yeah, that guy won the Daytona 500. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. So, we go on our way, see a few more cars, and then we leave. But the other perk of getting there so early is we got a wristband when we walked into the pit entrance for an autograph session. So as soon as we were done with the garage tour, we walked over. There was a minor detour to the first aid station for a Band-Aid, but kids, we go get in line. We go get in line, and there's an Xfinity autograph session. And again, I these guys are like half our age now. Some of these guys, I'm looking at their date of birth, and it's like we were graduated from high school when this guy was born.
But there are a couple 16-year-olds in the field.
Yeah, like 17, 18 years old now. But I mean, there's, some of these guys, I didn't get any of the autographs. I just, my kids walked through and, they had the hero cards, and some of them, they were pre-signed. They signed a couple and handed them to the kids, and all the drivers were so nice. And we walk up, and so the first one up there is John Hunter Nemechek, and one of the guy in front of us goes, "I loved your dad." He goes, "Your dad was such an awesome driver," and he was, you could see he was really proud and really pumped to hear that. What else in here? I have one I'm saving for the very end, but Sammy Smith, who ended up winning the race.
Winner.
He's a high school senior, and he takes classes online during the week and races on the weekend. I saw him win the Xfinity race or the ARCA race last fall. That kid is going to be special if he keeps it up. Just so much raw talent there. I mean, he held off Kyle Busch chasing after him in the last handful of laps, and it's just very impressive. Sam Meyer, I think, isn't he a former Xfinity champion, if I remember right?
Yeah, he's run up front quite a bit.
I got, Justin Allgaier's in here. Cole Custer, Ryan Truex, the younger brother of Martin, signed a hero card for my kids. Austin Hill, who won the Daytona race. And then this one I have to laugh at because it's like, this isn't really kid appropriate, but you just have to laugh. So Riley Herbst, Monster Energy driver. And this is the hero card that they gave my 5-year-old kids.
Hey, it's a way to sell Monster.
Yeah. So, I laughed when they handed that. And let's see, Daniel Hemrick. Who else do we got?
A lot of those guys have spent time in the Cup Series or filling in at times.
Joey Gase. Joey Gase looks like he's about 18 years old. He's 30. I mean, I know he's been around for a while, but like, look at his photo on this. Does that look like a 30-year-old to you?
No, not at all.
So I want to save the last thing. I've been running my mouth on this too far. So going through the some of these guys, like, you hear the names, you know who they are. You don't, they're wearing a helmet. You don't necessarily recognize a lot of their faces. And you see they look down at the hero card like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And I looked, I saw a face. I'm like, wait, is that? And then yes, it was Parker Kligerman. And he just got an absolute what number one, what a nice guy. What a nice guy. Um, and he just got an absolute kick out of my kids. And he's like, you know what? He goes, what's your names? And he made sure to write, to my kids on each of the hero cards. And I said to him before, before I walked off, I said, hey, you cover the Rolex 24. How on earth, like, how did you get stuck with the 1:30 a.m. shift? And he just like, super full of energy, like you see him on TV. He's like, I love that shift. That's my favorite time of the race. And we talked a little bit about the Rolex 24. But then, if that wasn't already cool enough, I go home, I tweet, photos of the hero cards, and I said, I want to shout out Parker Kligerman. He just, my kids, he's an absolute riot, great guy. My kids, loved it. And he replied back. He tweeted back. He's like, hey, it was nice meeting you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. And
that's cool.
got a lot of response, a lot of positive response with people that said, yeah, man, Parker is the real deal. And he for certainly is. So shout out to him. Shout out to all the Xfinity drivers. They're all wonderful, very nice people, all very nice drivers. They look like they were having fun up there, even though it's 18, 19 years old and you're sitting there signing autographs for like 60-year-old men or 5-year-old kids.
That'd be fun if it could work out at some point that any of them could jump on the show here and just talk
Open
about
invitation.
how they got into racing and what they enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, before I'm going to shut up then, Anthony Alfredo, great follower on social media, great on the Twitch. He's big in iRacing. I had a conversation with him about Twitch and talked about his feed a little bit. So that was really cool to meet him and chat with him briefly about that. So overall, a great weekend. Again, I say they do such a great job for the kids. The NASCAR kids area, phenomenal. If you see my personal feed, you saw the pictures. Ran into Bubba Wallace, ran into Joey Logano. Great weekend. But anyway, that's all I have to say on that. Back to the Michelob.
So I got a couple things to unpack here. Which one would you want to tackle first? We got Formula One and the debacle that is Ferrari, apparently again this year. And then a lot of big news out of NASCAR coming out this week.
We have a driver with negative points.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And I don't think they've said what. I mean, they said they confiscated parts, but they didn't say what was wrong. I mean, it was a single source supplier, so it sounds like they either got it from somebody else or they modified them. But I have not.
I haven't heard exactly what they did, but it's the louvers off of the hood. Not sure how much you can adjust those. I'm not a mechanic.
It's a single source part, so I can't imagine you can mess with them at all. Doesn't that scream? So all 4 Hendrick crew chiefs has been suspended. They've all been fined. They've all lost 100 driver points. They lost owners points
and 10 playoff points.
10 playoff points. Doesn't this scream like Chad Canales is behind this? I mean, how many times Chad Canales got busted over the years for some kind of modification that he just took just a little too far?
Or people unhappy that Hendrick is just absolutely annihilating the field so far this year?
I mean, you've got Mr. Byron,
they go 1, 2, 3 last week. They almost go 1, 2 again this week.
The funniest part of that whole thing is that they're like, oh, by the way, Chase Elliott is not penalized. Like, well, yeah, because he's lying in his bed in a cast
he's at home right now. So we'll see how Hendrick fares now moving forward, if they're still up front and just dominating races, or if this has been
here's
kind of fall back to equal.
They had their parts confiscated this weekend, and they still
It was before the race.
It was before the race, and all four of them finished in the top 10, including Josh Berry in Chase Elliott's car. So
So
didn't seem to slow him down very much.
no,
I mean, Byron, that pit strategy at the end was huge with the taking the two tires, but you have that controversy, but all four of your drivers still walk away with top tens. I mean,
yep,
that's a
that's
pretty good
something.
weekend. So we'll see how it impacts them moving forward.
Then how about Denny Hamlin? He got penalized also.
I saw he was penalized, but was it for the same thing or what? Or was it with his 10 millionth run in with Ross Chastain?
No, he got docked $50,000
I
and
did see
25
that.
points after podcast where he
Oh
basically
yeah.
admits to, you know what,
I'm
I'm
gonna
having a tough time. He's coming with me.
I
So
did
he
I did see that. I didn't realize that's what he got busted for, but he's like, I'm gonna call it like I see it. And and Ross hates every time I bring his name up, but you know what? I have a microphone, and you know what? Until he has a microphone.
it's so funny. I was reading comments on a post of that, and it's the classic. So tell us that Ross Chastain lives in your head without telling us
Oh, it
that
drives him nuts.
it's a penalized under section 4.4 of the NASCAR rule book and code of conduct. Basically, you can't just wreck other people because you don't like them. So let's watch next week the 11 and the 1.
I mean that we've been looking for a good rivalry for years in
Here it
NASCAR.
is.
Yeah, we have found it. Like this, please, Denny, don't retire. I know you're how old is he now? He's not 40 yet, is
He's,
he?
I think he's like 42.
Is he really? I know
Yeah,
he's been around. He's around for a long time, but it's
he's a
so
little
hard to
older than
tell.
we are.
It's at that weird thing where it's like these athletes, so few of them are. Yeah, he's 42. Um,
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be that old.
yeah, 42. Harvick's 46 and calling it quits. Man. Oh, Denny. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
who was it? Justin Haley is the one in negative points.
Oh, last rate. Okay. Yeah, Justin Haley. Poor Justin. Oh,
Sometimes you got to know what to say and when to say it. And a couple days
when to
after
shut
you
up.
wreck somebody, don't say that. But hey, great rivalry.
I love it.
See what
It's just,
happens.
I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know what it is, but Kyle Busch has always had that, very polarizing personality. And I don't know if it's, there was something with his, JGR team affiliation or what, but it seems like he's kind of toned it down this year.
Yeah, he's
And
doing a lot better, it seems.
my wife cannot stand him, as can a lot. She knows very little about NASCAR, but she is 100% sure she cannot stand him. And Saturday, before he raced in the Xfinity race, before the race, they were talking to him, and he had to start from the back. He didn't make a qualifying run because it was a car issue, and he's standing there talking to somebody, I forget who it was, from one of the NASCAR people, and he's drinking his rowdy energy. And after they were done, it was a pretty mundane interview for his standards, and uh she goes, "What flavor you got today?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm drinking like blueberry or whatever, blue raspberry, whatever the flavor was." And he goes, "But you can't go wrong with any rowdy, including this one." And
Oh,
I didn't even have to look over at my wife to see her eyes rolling. I knew her eyes. I just burst. I mean, you could hear groaning in the crowd when he said that, but I mean, it's pretty tame compared to some of the things he said over the years. But I don't know. We've got a new Kyle Busch apparently. I want more Hamlin versus Chastain rivalry. It's
give it two
stupid.
races. They'll bump into each other again and be game on again.
I mean, when was the last time we had that destructive of a rivalry? I mean, it was Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards. Is that the last time?
Yeah. I miss the days of, well, they're going to be called into the NASCAR hauler after this one.
Yeah, they're going into the hauler. They're going to go have an uncomfortable meeting with
I need to bring that back. As long as
those.
people aren't getting hurt, but you're bumping and stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah, right. I mean,
That's
that's
racing.
NASCAR has always been one where the drivers generally police themselves for the most part. Um, and
As long as
I mean,
it's within line, I'm all for it. But if they go a little above and beyond, like Phoenix,
I, the
that's kind of funny.
I remember the Brad and Carl saga got so out of hand at one point. Carl put Brad into the fence,
Yeah,
and
you don't want that.
and Brad's well, and I mean, Brad put Carl into the fence at was it Talladega the one year where
Yeah.
Carl went up in the air and you just hear Darrell Waltrip like, oh no. But there got so ugly at one point that like Brad Keselowski's dad is like talking to the reporter like, you're gonna kill my son. And I'm just all right, let's tone it down just a smidge. But anyway, we need a
And then
good
we,
destructive rivalry.
yeah.
What makes NASCAR fun?
And then Formula One coming up again this week, Saudi
Saudi?
Arabia.
Yeah.
And Ferrari is at it again.
Oh, they're clean.
Charles,
They're chalaka. They're clearing house. Frederick Vasseur. I saw one of their longtime Ferrari designers got the boot recently, and it sounds like nobody's safe there. He's gonna clean house, and based on Ferrari's season long performance over the last several years, or I mean, frankly, over the last decade plus, the changes need to be made there.
yeah, he's got a 10 spot grid penalty because they are now onto their third electronic control unit. Teams get two for the season.
We haven't even had the second. They haven't even
Where
like taken the car out of the hauler yet at the this for the second round two.
we are coming up to round two.
That
And it
is
is not
bad.
a 4 race season either.
Did you see Valtteri Bottas made a comment about they were asking him about his mullet, and he more or less implied that at Mercedes he would never have been able to get away with doing that, and he kind of likes being away from Mercedes because he can be more him. Like, yeah, that doesn't really surprise me too much. I feel like Toto runs kind of a
Pretty tight ship there.
pretty tight corporate ship there. Um, is what it is.
Now, not to stir the pot or anything, but do you think Ferrari is being sabotaged?
By who though?
I don't know. I mean, how do you have this many
That amount of
mishaps?
ineptness
Uh,
between race strategy and your car falling apart, and
if this
how
was
many
like
times
the
did
third or fourth level of Formula One and a brand new team, okay, I maybe get that. But we're
yeah,
talking about Ferrari.
this is Ferrari, and could you imagine like you had the Schumacher days, and Ross Brawn as like, could you imagine anything like that happening under those guys? I mean, they had such a dominant era in the late 90s, early 2000s that like nothing went wrong there. I mean, short of them asking Rubens Barrichello to slow down and let Schumacher pass him for the points at the finish the one time.
Yeah,
But
those were their drama
yeah,
issues.
that was it. Like, you never heard about like, if oh man, if they had a part fail, somebody's head was rolling on Monday at Ferrari on those that Ross Brawn era of Ferrari.
That's where
His
I
book, by the
doubt
way.
it, but there are so many issues week after week after week. It almost can't be coincidence.
I mean, it's just how do you have an organization with that much money and that much history just be that inept? Like it's unreal. And Mercedes can't get out of their own way either. I mean, they're just falling behind. I mean, this is lining up to be a boring year again. I mean, it's
It's
the only thing that if it wasn't for Fernando Alonso and his podium, that would have been probably one of the more boring events in recent years.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the race goes this weekend. If it shakes back up and kind of bounces back out, or if we see basically a replay of Bahrain.
If we see a replay of Bahrain, I'm just gonna turn off the TV. We'll go watch the cars wreck at Atlanta instead.
Yep.
But yeah, Ross Brawn wrote a book. Well, he co-wrote a book. What in the world? My HomePod Minis just started playing music. Pardon me. It's playing Miley Cyrus. Why? When did I say Miley Cyrus? Anyway, that
I want
was
to edit that part out.
yeah. Fortunately, I think the mic isn't going to pick up much of that. But anyway, Ross Brawn, this book he wrote with somebody, I forget the other guy's name. It's more of like it's like a conversation between two guys in written format. And it's really interesting. It's called I have it over there. It's called Total Competition. And I read that, I don't know, last year sometime, but it was really good. Ross came up, he started with Williams, working for Frank Williams, and he goes in through, meeting Michael Schumacher and getting to Ferrari in those dominant years. And then he went off and it was Honda. Then Honda bailed, and he had the Brawn GP where he ran it by himself with Jenson Button going and winning the World Driver Championship and the constructors championship, and then he sold it to Mercedes, and Toto pushed him out more or less. But very, very fascinating history of probably one of the more dominant eras, outside of Lewis's run with Mercedes. But very, very interesting book. Highly recommend. Anyway,
lots of books, fun to check out.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot lately.
Need to get back to it.
It's good. I've learned a lot catching up on this, and like the physics of NASCAR, and a lot of good reading that I've picked up over the years. But Wednesday Night Dash season is over.
So it's a wrap.
It is a wrap. So you finished third.
Yeah, finally got into the top 3 in season standings. Been knocking on the door for the last couple of them. Just couldn't quite get over, and you finally did it.
So Colton Gardner had a phenomenal last several weeks and just very consistent all year. Walked away with 133 points. Caden McAreevy Jr., he had his blinking issues last week, and then he went in to qualify tonight, and then his internet went down on him again.
Yeah, froze up and missed it.
And he sat this one out, but still walked away with a pretty respectable second place, despite not racing in the final event. So that's not too bad. I told him, I said,
fifth was very close.
Yes, but I told Caden, he's in college. He has roommates in a house. And I said, use some of your winnings and send your roommates to the bar for an hour on Wednesday nights. Get them out of the house so you can have the internet all yourself. He said that they would probably blow through that in about 5 minutes, which is fair. I mean, they're college kids.
Yeah.
But, you finished third, 104. Brian McKinney was right there with 101. He had a good second place finish tonight. He's been very consistent all season.
Yeah, he's there every week.
And Tyler uh, Tyler was tied for third and he dropped to fifth. He didn't he had a I don't know what happened, but all I saw was a bunch of smoke, and I had to come off the throttle to make sure I did not get caught up in that. And
Yeah, I think right front tire just burning
he's
through it.
he said he had 12% left on his front right at the end of when he went to the pit. And I'm like, well, and the weird thing is, too, like, I was burning up tire. I know I was burning up tire, and I scrolled through right before I changed. It said I was still at 100%. I'm like, no, I'm not.
No,
How
no, no,
like
no.
how does that work? Where I mean, I was probably in the 50% range when I tore it up, but it's like 12%. I mean, he was
Yeah, I don't
also
know.
quite a bit faster than me, but yeah, so Tyler finished in fifth with 100 points. He missed out on by 4 points. Also missed a race too, which he was kicking himself over. Um,
Well, and I pretty much missed race two. As I had the mishap at Atlanta and finished out of the points.
yeah, you did. But yeah, I mean, I'm back to 10th. But tonight was one of my better runs. I would say as far as non super speedway type tracks, this was probably one of my better runs. I was only 19 seconds back of Colton. I made a few mistakes, but it's just overall, like, there's definitely noticeable improvement. Just some consistent braking issues. Braking too early, and I realized it. I corrected, but lost time adds up.
Yeah, your last three races of the season were pretty solid. Ran well at Atlanta, had a pretty decent run at
Yeah, well,
Kansas
I
on
was running
Monday.
well at Atlanta until I froze. I froze. I was a second off the lead with
Yeah,
10 to
it's just a
go.
pack.
And I'm just thinking I could have survived that wreck. I was far enough back. I could have survived that wreck. But whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We're out of the next gen cars for a while and off to GT3 next season, April 19th, Lime Rock Park.
We'll have to see if we can't find a time to get Colton scheduled to come on and share with us about his championship
Yes,
for the
indeed.
year.
And
So
you
hopefully we
see,
get that to happen.
he got himself some sponsors for his actual legit sponsors for his car.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Man,
awesome.
he's man, it's he recently upgraded his gear. He got out of the Logitech world and moved up to a little bit, moved up to the direct drive. And I forget who he bought. But yeah, he's like, oh, it's night and day difference. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be one of my upgrades that I want to do, get away from Logitech and get into direct
I mean,
drive and
the thing is, we bag on Logitech, but it's a really good starter set, one, and
yes.
two, you can, like, when you build up and practice enough and build up the talent, people can go, if you're good enough, you can go out there with a G29 or a G920 and you can compete. Like, you're not at a technical disadvantage being on. I mean, there's some things you can't feel, and the weaker motor doesn't help things, but you can succeed with that. It's a good starter kit, good starting with it, and but yeah, I've moved on. I've gone the Sim Magic route, and I just got to keep practicing. I got to keep working on consistent braking, and one of these days I'm going to be right up there. I feel like I'm just really close to turning that corner.
Yeah, I'm on the Logitech still and I've gotten out to win some Wednesday night dash races and I've had some other series races.
Yeah, I
Earlier
don't.
this week I did the open wheel series, the class C, and I was third by 1500ths of a
Yeah, I
second.
mean,
So
that's awesome.
you can still get out there and race. It doesn't take the high end stuff to be successful.
Exactly. It's just it's about you. It's about your habits. It's about your practice. It's just about getting out there. And
Yep.
I'm guilty of not doing enough official races. I do a lot of unofficial and I do league. So if you look at my iRacing profile, it's like that guy doesn't do squat. I'm like, oh no, I'm out there. I'm spending
I'm
time. I'm
driving a
doing leagues.
lot.
I'm driving a lot. It just doesn't get recognized on my profile.
Yeah, and I'm getting out and doing a lot of the ranked races, especially in the Xfinity trucks and open wheel, mostly
Right.
ovals.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward. And the good news too is that once we get into the GT3 series, I'm gonna be using this bad boy.
Bring it out.
Ready to go with it. I sent a picture of it to one of my coworkers, and they're just like, "Oh my god!" Like I don't even want to know how much you spend on that. And when I told them how much this thing costs, they're like, "Okay, that's really not bad. I would have expected to be double what that cost." But good unit. Get that over at Extreme Sim Racing. The link is in the profile. They have a lot of other good. I mean, even the round wheel that I used for the cup race. This is their introductory. This is turning into a sales pitch. This is their introductory wheel. I think it's called a GTS, and they have a couple different grips that you can get for it. And it's got the throttle bars on here. There's actually 40 different switch combinations on this. Like this dial, you can push the dial, you can push it up, up, down. I mean, this is just a great multi-purpose wheel that I use for it's called a GTS, but it's available over at Extreme Sim Racing. Click the link down at the bottom of the episode, and you can go check it out.
So yeah, it'll be fun to get some upgrades coming in. Hopefully, sometime in the next year or so. But
Rig's coming
have fun,
first, though.
keep driving. Yeah, I kind of like to do rig first. If you don't know, I actually sit at a desk in a kitchen table chair. So my sim setup is a fraction of some of those out there that
It's
you will see.
it's not nothing to be ashamed of by any means. I mean, when I started, I mean, I've been in this chair the whole time. I still use this desk chair. I lower it down. I'm gonna modify it and reuse the base and put like a racing chair and make it into my desk chair sometime in the future, but not now. Um, but yeah, when I started, I clamped my G920 right to the desk, and then I got a wheel stand, and now I've got my monstrosity over here that I use. So you can do it over time. If you don't have a lot of space, or you need to space it out over time, that G9 or the SXTV2 wheel stand from Extreme Sim. This is turning into an Extreme Sim Racing infomercial. But seriously, love their stuff. Great, great guys there. They've been very supportive of us on social media. They're if you look at their Instagram stories, they're always sharing our stuff. So we really appreciate how awesome they've been to work with, in addition to producing some awesome gear and being a Simagic distributor.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be able to check it out. I know you've talked great about it so far, and even one of our other drivers on Wednesday Night Dash has talked very well about it. So I'm excited to be able to check it
It,
out.
what's hilarious is when I bought the pedals first. And Mark Vickers, who you're referring to, congratulations him, by the way. He missed the race on Wednesday because his son was born. Everyone's home, everyone's doing great. So congratulations to Mark and his wife. That's the second time we've had a driver miss a Phoenix race for a birth of a child.
I don't know. We might have to take Phoenix off. I'd be scared about who's
It's like
next.
snip, snip, everybody, snip, snip.
Everybody's gonna start boycotting that race in the future.
Like no. Oh man. That's hilarious now that twice that's happened. What are the odds? I mean,
That's just funny.
yeah, I knew it was coming up here very soon, and I saw in his story he had a photo holding a baby. I was like, oh, the baby's here. But congratulations to him. But anyway, Mark bought a base, a Sim Magic base and a wheel. The same time I bought my pedals. And they ship them out of Florida. Mark and I live like 20 minutes apart. Again, still have not met in person, which is still weird to me that we've not done that yet, or we've not met up yet. We won't be anytime soon with the new baby, but our shipments were on the same truck, and that truck got lost, and we were both like,
Where's
I
our
kind of
stuff?
where's our stuff? And then magically, like, it crossed the state line from New Mexico into Arizona, and then it like disappeared for like 2 days on the tracking. And then next thing you know, it's on a truck for delivery in Mesa, where the FedEx facility is, or I think it was FedEx, but whatever. Yeah, and
At least
then
you got it.
I said, did your tracking number go missing on you? And he's like, oh yes, yes it did. I'm like, yeah, my pedals and your wheel and wheelbase were on the same truck, which is crazy. But anyway, GT3 coming up in a month.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for me. I don't
And
do a lot of road racing.
I don't either. I really don't. The next question we need to answer is, we go back to ARCA in the fall, or do we do a Gen 4?
The few laps I've done in Gen 4 right now, I'm gonna need to start working that car right now.
Yeah,
It is squirrely.
I don't understand how these guys raced in that thing. It was 92, 19, the Gen 4 car ran from 1992 to 2007 until the car of tomorrow, jokingly came in. But
I feel like if we do that one, it's going to take a lot of patience and stay off the throttle
isn't it
much
weird?
longer.
Isn't it weird that the Gen 4 was around from 1992 to 2007, but in the 15 years, and in the 15 years since, we've had the car of tomorrow Gen 5, Gen 6, and now we're on Gen 7. We've had in 15 years we've had three gen cars in the time that they ran one.
Well, so much of it, the safety,
Yeah.
they've been trying to keep doing better and better.
And
So I think that's been the biggest reason why they've gone through them so quick.
On the topic of safety, though, we had a lot of problems last year with just hard hits and concussions, and basically ended Kurt Busch's career. And
they made a lot of adjustments for this season already
yeah, and
to try to soften up that back end.
So far I haven't really heard of anybody any major issues. We had a few nasty looking ones at Daytona, but
yeah, other than the Daytona wrecks, it's been a pretty quiet season. Like there wasn't a whole lot in Fontana,
which is surprising because of how cold it was there.
Then
it was like in the low 50s when that race started.
Even Vegas, there wasn't much. Couple spins there. Phoenix actually ran green except for one caution until the very end.
Yeah.
So, luckily, we haven't had a chance to really see the effects of the changes that they've made. I know instead of the straight metal pieces and supports, they've been.
We're gonna see some this weekend, I think. I think this is gonna be a big test.
The first super speedway, really, besides Daytona, and it's such a different track.
And the drivers do not like it. Many of the drivers do not like it. Have made it very clear that they do not like it.
Well, you can take the track initials, and it's basically right on.
Super Speedway.
Yep.
On that note, I think it's time to wrap.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, and
I hope you enjoyed our infomercial for Extreme Sim Racing. Seriously, great stuff, great guys. We really appreciate the support. Yeah, they've been a lot of fun to work with, and I actually have an invitation out to their U.S. Technical support guy to come on and talk about direct drive and kind of introduce some of the terminology. If you're not familiar, I'm still new to the direct drive world and what that is, but a good educational session. I hope we can get that arranged here soon.
Yeah, it'd be fun to have them on.
I actually am going to put up a blog post next week now that we're done with the season about expanding my wheel stand into a more or less a pseudo rig. So look for that. frracingonline.com at frracingonline.
Congratulations to Colton Gardner on his championship.
Awesome. And Colton's quote at the end tonight, that was funny. Or it's like, I don't really do well when it comes to turning right. You and me both, buddy.
My
You and me
sympathies
both.
are with you on that one.
Let the Europeans laugh at us. On that note, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Check out Extreme Sim Racing, Michelob Ultra. I'm still milking this thing. Phone lines are open. Waiting for
Take
your
care,
call.
everybody. Thanks for listening.